I heard you guys are looking to learn about tanking, especially with the War Shield Warrior class, and that's what I'm going to try and do in this ultimate guide today. I'm going to explain everything to do with gearing, stat priority, your gemstones, your inscribed stones, your talent page, even showcasing how to do some of the basic combinations and live gameplay examples. So let's dive into the ultimate guide of the War Shield tank class for Warrior. Hello everyone, yeah, smash like, comment and subscribe for more daily videos with me, MrSneakyy, the one and only, and we're here on the War Shield tank variant, right, for the Warrior. So if you're learning how to play Warrior, or you want to know anything about the Warrior class, hopefully I cover as much as I can in here without making it too long. So what we're going to do is go through the current stats that you need, as well as kind of the data side of things before we dive into the skills and talent page setup. So the first things first, glancing. Glancing is a very important one for us. Glancing is allowing us to reduce the damage, right? So you can see the initial damage reduction from glancing is 25%. The total glancing chance for the same battle is 33.7% chance. So it's basically allowing us to just mitigate and tank as a tank, right? Nice, easy kind of stat to follow. Omni and cooldown are kind of really important. I actually prefer cooldown a lot more, but you do need quite a bit of an Omni. So Omni for our tank class is going to grant us damage immunity. So you can see here, the reduces the final damage you take by 3.6%, which is really nice. But the more Omni you're gaining, obviously the final number will be reduced further and further down. So it's kind of nice to have a bit of Omni into your kit. Obviously, you need this to tank, obviously, on top of the glancing. So it kind of like mitigates down a ladder of damage. But cooldown, I actually really enjoy cooldown a lot more. Cooldown is going to allow you, as you can imagine, to cast off your skills more often. And with this class, it's not one of those classes that you kind of want to button bash with. A lot of players kind of think you do. If you button bash with this, you'll notice you are dealing a decent amount of damage. You are tanking pretty good, but you're not tanking the best because you won't have noticed you will be losing a bunch of different passives from those skills. So cooldown is actually a really important factor for the tank side of things when it comes to the warrior class, right? When it comes to the gear that you want, I will recommend the set bonus gear again that you want to go for. This is the War Shield set bonus. At 3, you're going to get glancing. At 5, which is really nice, you're going to get a buff to your skill, which is the last stand. It's going to recover 4,860, guys. 4,860 more HP, and it heals you guys for 0.5% of your maximum HP per second. So obviously this is gonna mitigate after so long once your buff is gone, but it's a really nice way of adding more healing into your kit, more tanking and sustainability, and you'll be surprised that extra little bit of HP per second with the other talent pages that we're going to be taking in, you are actually healing quite a lot, and it allows the healer to kind of not, you know, burst heal and stress too hard about you, which I actually think healers would really appreciate a good tank player instead of them having to super focus heal on them all the time and waste cooldowns almost every second. From here, you have the 8 set bonus. I actually really like the 8 set bonus too. You use the steady barrier and you instantly recover again 1,085 HP when you gain that barrier. But while that shield is active, and this is what's really cool, you're going to be gaining 1.5% more HP every time you activate your main skill, which is your shield bash, which is really cool. And I like that. The fact that you're gaining even more sustain and a little bit more HP while going through the tanking fight. You can see why I like this set a lot, right? So I would aim to grab this set. If you are wondering, guys, how to obtain this set, I will just showcase it is the exact same set bonus as the Wrathful one. So if I actually switch this over just to showcase it, and we go over here, you will now see the actual set piece has changed. It's now called the Wrathful Gauntlet, and it's doing armor penetration and cross slash damage. So as long as you've been playing the DPS role and you've been collecting these set bonuses, you'll notice if you just switch over, you will have the exact same one. So don't stress if you don't see them as a DPS. You are collecting that gear. So just letting you guys know that you don't have to collect two sets, you know, two sets of gear, basically. So from here, let's just quickly go over our gems and empowerment. When it comes to empowerment of your gear, like I'm just going to state to anyone, go through the main rankings until you do hit the purple. The purple ones, you can go through a different type of, you know, effects. You can get activation effects. You can get obviously specializations. The one I am actually going to recommend going down is the Omni paths. So stuff where you get Omni and stamina is really good. I actually really enjoy that. The reflect damage and stamina one is also not too bad either. I wouldn't mind taking that one either. So if you want to go down any of those paths, I'm not gonna hate you. I think they're really good. I'm not gonna go to tell you the super mid-max build right now because the game's still new. No one actually fully knows the best point for point, data for data build right now until we get more, you know, knowledge and more testing done. So that's kind of what you want to do with your empowerments kind of all the way through, just to follow in that. When it comes to your gems, the way I have done my gems is cooldown based. Some people might not like that and want more glancing, and I can understand why you would want more glancing. This is going to allow you to, again, reduce the amount of damage you're taking, which is really powerful. But in early game, I actually just prefer cooldowns. Having higher lower cooldowns is going to allow you to have higher uptime on shield barriers and other skills that you need as a tank. But once you get through there, guys, you can press this little button and showcase all the different stuff. So even though you do have the option of getting glancing, omni, and cooldown, I went for the cooldown. Colorful gem wise, the actual end game gems that you kind of want to aim to grab that I personally like are obviously the stamina and cooldown, the stamina and glancing one, and then the stamina and omni ones. So if you've got any of these three, so the blue jade, the green jade, and the baron jade of the colorful gems, I would whack those in. They are really good for your class. They're going to do everything you need. It gives you the two main stats that you kind of really want, which is basically stamina, which is your HP and HP recovery, and then one of the actual main priorities, which is glancing, cooldown, or omni, which is really good that you're able to actually maximize the top three kind of stats for your class with this. So if you're able to get this over time, that's kind of what you want to do. When it comes to your red gems and your blue gems, what I did was full stamina, and I went for either full strength or full attack. I would actually just go for full strength just for now. Early game is not going to do too much. Again, you're not really there to deal damage, so you're not too bothered. But you'll notice here we've got the strength ones on. We do have a colorful one, which is strength and glancing, which is really cool. But I didn't get any, obviously, better luck. So hopefully we get the glancing and other stuff. And then again, just to showcase stamina on this area. So now we've kind of gone through those stats. What we're going to do is go into the inscribe store now to finish off the data side, explain my tree off first, and explain how to build it point for point. So let's go into that side of things. So the inscribed stone, this is obviously one area that everyone wants to figure out how to do, or what is the best trees. This is the tree I, again, am currently running on the tank side of things. If we switch over to configuration 2, which is the correct one, we are now on the tank trees. This is kind of what I am running on the tank build at the moment. And I'm gonna explain why I'm doing this, and obviously how you can go point for point. So the aim of the game, like normally, is to try and unlock these emblems as fast as possible for your tank class. By doing so, you're going to get access to your emblems, which are basically very powerful attribute effects or just extra bonuses that your class does, right? So you want to go through and unlock these two. The way I did it was going through focus, omni, and then stamina, and then unlocking the emblem. Obviously, I didn't really care about strength because we are a tank class and not a DPS class. And then I did the exact same thing on the left side. So we went from starting, obviously, hitting the focus, getting the cooldown, getting the stamina, and then unlocking reversal, right? From here, I actually went straight up. I started moving up, and I ignored the core really early on just to try and get more emblems unlocked for my class. So what I did was obviously unlock specialization attributes on both sides to give me a 79 glancing on either side, and then increase my physical defense through the focus, as you can see, on both sides here, moving up on the edge, and this is where things get a little bit funky, but I will explain it. We go on the right side and grab stamina, specialization, and omni, and this is really nice because it allows us to grant basically all of our main attributes that we care about as a tank. And the thing is, I want to get up to this resonance and these higher paths, but the thing is, if I put a point down here, it's technically wasting this opportunity because I do need to get to this emblem still. So what I did then on the left side was go up from the specialization attribute. I went into focus, into stamina, specialization, focus, and that unlocks your emblem. And this is kind of when you go back into how the other guide was. I put 1 point into both resonances and I unlocked my final emblems. So once I unlocked those final emblems, what I actually did was come back down to the very bottom and I started to work on the cores. So I unlocked these 3 next, unlocking the first core. Then I went into these 3, as you can imagine, unlocking the second core. And now you can already see I am working towards these 2, going into this 3rd, 4th, and then the final point. And that's going to allow me to get all of my cores online. Once you've done this, you might want to go around and potentially just see if there's any stuff like this cooldown or stamina that you might have missed that you might want. But apart from that, you will be obviously going back down here over time with your character and putting extra points and just following almost the same tree. So now I've gone over the inscribed stone pathing and why I've gone down that talent tree. Let me explain my emblems of choice. So the ones at the very beginning I went down was Tribal Ode and Reversal. I actually really do like this. I actually think this one could be changed with a variety of actually different emblems in my build. It just depends on what you prefer at the early game. What this says, whenever I am hit, there's a 13% chance to recover HP by 0.03% of your max HP per second for 5 seconds, right? This effect cannot stack. It says level 5. So you can see it's a really nice actual emblem to have on our build because, again, as you've kind of seen with our set bonuses and kind of what we're going to be doing again with our skills so far from what we've learned, we're healing quite a lot, which is quite nice. And this is going to allow us to heal that a little bit extra over time. And any little bit of extra healing and sustainability, like I say, it makes us tankier and it does give that healer a little bit of breathing room at times. So I really do like Reversal. Maybe it's not the correct choice at the beginning, but you do want to put this on your tank. From here, you have Tribal Ode, and I really do love this one. Tribal Ode is basically a way a tank can be really, really beneficial to players. So you increase your main attributes by 1.8%, and your stamina is also increased by 1.8% while in battle. However, this also is granted to nearby teammates for a 50% of the bonus, and I love that. The thing is, which is really powerful with certain classes, as you're going to see with this one, you have certain AoE moves that you're able to unlock through the talent page that gives very, very powerful buffs to your raid team or your dungeon team. And having Tribal Ode as well in your inscribes, though, just grants them that little bit of extra firepower, maybe that little bit of extra tankiness that they never had. And you'd be surprised, you might have done a lot better with that just little extra microscopic change. So I do like Tribal Ode. I think this is one thing that I would always recommend putting on a tank, right? From here, when it comes up to the next ones, we've got these last 3. So the last 3 I've gone through is Steelbone. So during the battle, when there are more than 10 enemies within 1 meter around you, your defense is increased by 2%. Each time you regain this effect, the damage taken from the next 2 attacks is reduced by 1% additionally. So what this allows us to do, and this is why I've put it in the 3rd slot, is in the early game, when you're doing the dungeon runs and you're leveling up, let's be honest, there's not that many times you get to pull a giant bunch of monsters, right? You don't get to press the taunt button, you don't get to pull everything. But in the later stages, you are able to do that. There is some crazy good tanks and some really good healers that are able to speed through and pull 1, 2, maybe 3 mob groups all at once. And you are able to basically tank 10 plus enemies in one go. And this is one of those emblems that allows you to do that. So I would always put this on my tank. I think this is not even negotiable. If you think this is bad, fair enough, but I do not think this is bad at all. I think this is a really powerful one for tanks to actually enable their DPS to do a ton of damage and maximize on all of their area of effect skills by taunting up all their enemies, getting a bunch of defense from this emblem, as well as obviously all of their skills. And it's a really good little match made in heaven. From here, we've got Barrier Guard. Barrier Guard's a really nice one. You just receive a health shield every 46 seconds in battle. This obviously does get upgraded over time. And the cool thing is, this is 4.2% of your maximum HP, which again does upgrade the more levels this has. And it lasts for 46 seconds. And again, this also upgrades the higher you have. So it's nice just to have a little bit of extra, you know, sustainability. As you can see, this is kind of what we want to do with this build and this tank. Just survive as much as possible. The last one is potential, and this is the one where I would call it the almost get jail out free card, right? When your HP is below 35%, damage immunity is increased by 3.3%, and your HP is recovered by 4.5% of your attack per second. So you can kind of see why in the red gemstone area, that way, even though I was talking about strength and attack being not too much, technically scaling your attack would be a lot more beneficial for the potential emblem here, right? But this is just basically allowing you to, again, just to kind of hopefully not die when things are getting into the danger area, when you're really, really, really low. So that is basically my tank tree. You can argue and say it's bad or it's good. It's up to you. But this is the one I have been running. I've been having a really good time and tanking through the game with no real issues at all when it comes to dungeons and raids and just any type of content in there. So now what we're going to do is go over to the skills. We're going to move over to the skills and then the talent page section, because they go hand in hand. And let's get into the gameplay section after that to overrise. Make this the ultimate guide for the War Shield tanks. Let's just move on to the next section. Okay, so when it comes to the skills of the War Shield Warrior, what you're trying to do is pretty simple. You're trying to maintain uptime on all your different types of buffs, because you've got 3 different skills that are going to be generating your main energy, which is toughness, that you consume to generate your barrier, as you can see it right now, which is your sturdy barrier, right? With this, obviously, you're going to try and keep layering your first and second skill to allow you to have maximum uptime on the buffs that they grant, right? So this is kind of like the basics of this class. And what we're going to do is go through the generators first, the payoff, and then the buffs of our class. So what I mean by generators is the skills that we use to consume our action points, but they're going to be doing something for us. So Shield Bash is our first generator. It's a single target damage, and it does a nice bit of damage, but what we care about is it increases our physical defense by 84 for 6 seconds and grants us 9 toughness energy to consume basically later on. With this, our next one is Shield Assault. Shield Assault is basically doing a similar thing. It's doing some nice damage around you and AoE, but what's more important is with the Shield Assault is you're granting yourself 18% extra glancing, which is really powerful, and that is for 8 seconds. 8 seconds of extra glancing or extra damage reduction is allowing you to tank more. But again, this is generating a nice amount of stats for us, right? Storm Trample is a AoE move, so this actually doesn't realistically generate too much stuff for us. However, as you can see when you read this, casting the skill grants us 5 resilience, which is really nice, right? Resilience is a way of tanking damage, and each time a target is hit, 1 resilience will be added additionally up to 5. So we can get basically 5 resilience and get another 5 and another 5 and another 5 every time we hit potentially more and more targets. With this, every time a target is hit, this skill will be reduced off cooldown by 1 second. So what this does is, or what this says is, if there's 4 enemies around you, because this has a 4-second cooldown, it will instantly come off cooldown, guys, because you've hit 4 targets. If you've hit 3, it's going to come off 3 seconds of cooldown, 2 targets, 2, and vice versa. Obviously, if you've got 10 or more targets, you're safe. You can spam this ability as much as possible, and we're going to showcase that in some gameplay footage, right? Now, we've gone through the generators, and by generating all of this, we're going to get our sturdy barrier. So we're going to need to use 60 toughness that we've generated from these skills, from dealing damage, right? In order to get a massive shield, as you read. So it's a 12% damage shield, as well as 1,890 maximum HP. So it's a massive shield that we get. And the cool thing about our shield is if you reactivate this skill, while you still have a shield active, you do not lose it, guys. You need to read the skill very carefully. The remaining shield value will be included in a new effect when skill is recasted. So that is a very, very important thing. It means you can technically stack your shields on top of each other if you know how to, right? If you're able to keep making this toughness generate in a very nice manner, or you're going from, you know, mob boss or mobs to mobs and you're not losing shield, you're gonna have a ton when it goes into the raid, for example. So really, really good actual skill here. Our last 2 are basically 2 different buffs. Our last stand basically says whenever we're in a very tight situation, press this button, we're gonna get a bunch of maximum HP as well as just base HP. And then on top of this, it's going to immediately heal a load of HP on top. And on top of that, with talents, which we're going to go through, it's going to increase our toughness, which is very important later down the line. Then impenetrable is a damage reduction buff, guys. You want to trigger this when you're in, again, tricky situations. It's going to increase your physical defense by 490. And then on top of it, 25% damage reduction, right? And this is a really powerful buff that you have on yourself. Now, we've gone through kind of what the class wants to do. We've gone through those basic skills. Let's go through the talent page, because the talent page enhances all of those skills with additional effects that you're able to get. So this is my talent page, and the way I've gone down this talent page, as you can see, is one thing I might change, and I will explain why at the end, is just unlocking Shield Assault. That might be the one thing that I really do want. I might remove one of these, I don't know where, to get this 1 point. But to what my whole build is all about is pure tanking. I just want to tank as much as possible. I don't care about doing anything crazy with some new damage ability, which is unlocked here, but I do want to try and tank as much as possible, right? So what I've done is gone through Shield Bash, grants 3 more toughness, and makes your target deal 3% less damage to you. As you can imagine, really powerful little skill. Then I went down and grabbed base attacks, and casting Storm Trample has a chance of resetting our Shield Bash cooldown, which is really good. It allows us to reset the cooldown of our buff timer. Then I went down again for the Sturdy Barrier upgrade. This is again reducing the amount of damage we take, which is really good. And then the next one is immediately granting 45 toughness from Last Stand. So this is the talent I just spoke about from it. This is where we get our first 2, and you could do a different amount of things. And this is where I went originally into increasing my base glancing effect by 6 and 10%. I put 1 point into this, allowing me to unlock the next tree, right? But by putting 2 points into Last Stand Plus, you can see here, you're getting a massive buff for doing so. So anytime your Sturdy Barrier expires through damage, so for a major boss skill, for example, you're going to reduce your skill cooldown of your Last Stand by 2 seconds, guys. So I think it's a really good way of, again, getting this thing more off cooldown, especially if you're able to do some very clever mechanics, but I'm going to try to explain in that section. But then when we move further down, we have Shield Bash deals more damage. I don't care about the damage here. What I care about is upon hit, though, HP is recovered by 1% of my maximum HP. So basically, tank more. We get to sustain. And the real power when it comes down to the bottom though is when you get to impenetrable, guys. So impenetrable allows you as a warrior to gain even more damage reduction and let the effects of impenetrable last 4 seconds. But what I love, and a lot of players love, and why people love warriors, is the fact that we're giving all of our team, right? All of our dungeon team or raid team 20% of all of those effects, including the effects of our impenetrable plus, which is crazy. So they're getting everything. They're getting the good from us, right? So we definitely need to take this area. This is like a must pick here. And then we went from multiple barriers into indomitable. This just basically allows us again to tank as much damage. This is allowing our sturdy barrier to potentially cast twice. And here is allowing us just to gain a bunch of stuff. To finish this area off, what I'm going to talk about is the core passives and the ultimates, and then we're going to go into some gameplay. So when it comes to core passives, you'll see glancing is pretty important. It's going to allow you to have a inherited dodge rate, and I like that. Having dodge rate is going to allow you to actually survive certain boss skills and just boss attacks by just dodging. And another one which I really care about is obviously Omni and obviously cooldown. Cooldown for me is crazy because cooldown is giving you better armor effect. So the more cooldown you have, yes, you're going to be gaining these extra green slots, guys, but whatever your cooldown is, times that by 1,200% and you're gaining that armor. That's the way Shield Bash is basically gaining that amount. So it's a really good way of, you know, boosting your stats. With this as well, Omni, I really want to say Omni is another good one. Even though Omni is giving you that damage immunity, it is also increasing, you see, the shield effect of your sturdy barrier. So whatever your sturdy barrier or whatever your Omni is, shall I say, you will times that number by 300%. And that is how much base, basically, your sturdy barrier is going to have at base before anything. So really good little core passives there. When it comes to a tank and you are trying to do PvE stuff, I'm only going to tell you 4 ultimate skills here. Taunt, challenge draw, charge, slam. Done. It's done, guys. I don't need to go over this, right, too long. You will need to bring slam on certain bosses. There's certain bosses in the game that need skills to be interrupted, so you're going to need to bring slam. But at certain times, you don't need to bring that. So bringing stuff like Taunt, Challenge Draw, and Charge is kind of OP. It's going to allow you to do some really crazy pulls, allow you to get through the content really, really fast, and do some speed runs. And as well as the Taunt allows you to taunt any target, and it's on a shorter cooldown. So you can see kind of why we run these. They're kind of bread and butters for a lot of the tanks. If you're playing Warrior, you kind of know why we like Charge, and I'm not going to go too in depth. But slam, you are going to be using slam, guys, instead of one of these, depending on what you are doing in the dungeon or the raid. Now, once we've gone over all of that, let's get into the gameplay. Let's explain some of this. Let's showcase some training dummy combos, and then let's dive into a dungeon and showcase me tanking with the warrior. So we are in the training range at Silverlit, and honestly, if you want to test a lot of stuff out, I would always recommend coming to this training dummy, because this one to me is just really good. It has everything you kind of need all spread out. So just to showcase one thing, if we go over to this area here, right, and we press our 4, you'll notice because there's 4 enemies, the 4 is instantly coming off cooldown, right? So this is kind of where a lot of our DPS in the AoE triggers, and you'll notice every time we're doing this, we are generating, right? We are generating resilience, which is the blue energy at the back. So if we press our little stone here, you can see how much we're generating, which is quite a lot. So from this, what we're able to do is, again, bob and weave your skills. So if we kind of reset everything, try to consume all of our skills here, so we didn't have anything online. So let's get out of combat, out of combat. So we've got nothing up, right? So the way you'll notice when you're playing a tank, especially a tank class, one very important thing that you might want to change the UI on is this top side. So at the very top side, you'll notice tactical defense has been increased, and I've got all these different buffs. But what you'll notice again, if I press 1, my physical defense boost is there now, and you can see it coming off cooldown, right? Same with like my shield assault. Boom, 8-second cooldown, right? And you can see it doing its thing. Same again if I press 1, you can see that cooldown coming up. Now, because we're doing that, what you're trying to do as a player or as a tank is, again, trying to maintain those buff up times, right? And by doing that, you are generating the toughness for the shield. So by doing this, I'm going to press my 3. I'm going to have a shield. If I just press 1, 2, and just 1 again, you'll notice I've generated a bunch of toughness. If I press 4, I've got my cooldowns back. Press 1 again, I've got my 3. And I can press 3 again, right? Just showcasing you guys just hypothetically a basic combo here and just generating some nice, obviously, shield, right? And this is kind of what you want to do when you're playing this class. It's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, it isn't an easy class to play at all, to play a tank. You need to be good. You need to be able to go in here, trigger, hit the 4, press 2, hit the 4, trying to get it again. You're not hitting it, press it again. And you're always trying to make sure you have some sort of mitigation online, always. Because by doing so, you're going to allow yourself, as you can imagine, to tank as much damage. And when you're in certain situations when you're dying and you're going, you know, crazy, this is when you're going to be activating your 5. It's going to increase your maximum HP. You can see it's done there, right there. 82k plus 2,313. You can kind of see it's increased. And then same with our 6. If we press our 6, you'll know again when we've activated, because it's a very iconic buff. And it's going to allow us to tank, right? So just remember, when we're playing our class, our shield is really important. Any shield we've got left over, even this, is going to get added to the next one. And there's certain times when we're shielding and we're casting our skills and we're doing stuff with our tank class, that's going to allow us to generate potentially double barriers. You never know. You could get this done, right? And it's all about just you bobbing and weaving these skills, right? Some players will tell you, you know, you can hit your glancing, see the glancing skill going down. It's about to drop. Now press my 1. So I've got an overlay of skills, and now my 2's back up. Press 2 again, and you can see it's kind of replacing itself. It's doing a really good job of maintaining some sort of defense buff always, and that's kind of what you want to do. And by doing that, like I said, you're going to get your shield and you're good to go, right? So what I'm going to do is play this class in a dungeon now. So we've kind of rambled on a little bit there and spoke about, you know, how these skills and how you want to be looking up at this top side for the buffs to maintain your tank. I'm going to do it. We're going to go into a dungeon. We're going to go tank and showcase this class off on what it is capable of doing in a dungeon or a raid. So let's get on with it. How you guys doing? So we're in a live gameplay. I honestly think I've got 4 bots. We will soon see, but I'm pretty certain these guys are 4 bots. And I'm going to showcase how to play a tank, right? So I'm going to explain what I'm thinking, what I'm doing when it comes to things. So you can see I've got 4 enemies here. And what I want to do immediately is know, because it's 4, I'm going to be pressing my 4 to get the AoE. And you'll notice by just doing that one, well, that 1-4 going into a 1-2 and then a 3, you'll notice I've actually generated enough toughness because of how much you're able to grant. So what you want to do is, as you can imagine, again on this next group, I'm going to charge in, I'm going to press 4 into my 1 and 2, and then I can basically keep spamming, as you can imagine, my 1 and 2. And by doing this, you'll notice my resilience gain is so high because of the AoE damage, and because of the bobbing and weaving of the 1 and 2 in between, I'm actually able to generate a bunch of shields. So you can see my shields already over 33% of my bar there. And now I was overstacking the skill and using that mechanic where it states, right? You're able to get the old shield when you recast the new shield. So that just kind of showcases the perspective of what you're able to do. And in certain scenarios, like you're watching me now, you'll see I have my shield buff up at the top left corner, right? And I used my 4 to get the cooldown of my 1 back, but my 1 already had its buff up, right? It already had its buff up. So what I mean by that is, again, when I press that 1, my physical defense is going to come up here, and you're going to see me basically. Then if I get another cooldown of shield bash because of my storm trample, what it's going to allow me to do is basically wait and then press it again. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm able to kind of delay that front. And what we want to do here as a tank player, this is a big tip and trick when it comes to the boss kind of stuff, right? Always, guys, if you're able to be a good tank player, taunt the boss away from everyone. So you can see right now, it's looking at me. All my teammates are away from it. And you'll know because of any of the skills that could potentially come, it's not going to hit them. So what I want to do right here is actually generate, as you can see, a bunch of different stuff. I actually want to generate myself my different stacks and just build it up. And here's a good example of, you know, I'm with a bot, I've got a little bit low, I can press my 5, boom, and I've got my health back. I can press my 6, I've got my damage reduction, and it's nothing too scary, right? So if we go back into our normal rotation now, let's get our shield back into the game. So boom, there's the shield instantly. Bang, starts healing back up. Press 2, press our shield again, it's back up online. Press our 1, press our 4, hitting our way. And it's just that easy, guys. Honestly, it's just that easy. The only thing, like I say, you really want to do, if you're able to, is when you get that 1 or your 2 off cooldown because of your 4, you want to just make sure you've not just pressed this 1. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to press this 1 immediately straight after, because that will mean you will have just wasted potentially a more longer buff. So I'm going to do it kind of here if I'm able to. You can see at the very top, I've got the buff, 2 seconds remaining. Press 1 again. Boom. I've already upkeeped that skill. And that's kind of all you got to do, guys. You're going to press your 2, press 1. Here's my 4. Try to get the refresh. Don't get the refresh at time. Press 1, press 4, press 3. Got my shield up online. Press 2, press 4, press 1. You know, you see what I'm saying? It's like you just keep bobbing and weaving your skills, kind of. And what you want to make sure is you keep these 2 up as much as you can. That's all you want to do right now. What we're going to do after this boss, I do want to showcase, again, kind of like the importance of using your 4 in AoEs. Because, again, you got to remember, every time you're triggering this 4, guys, you're going to be able to grant yourself, right, that extra bit of HP, or I say HP, extra bit of resilience, which is going to allow you to get more shield. And even here where you can see, look, I'm not really trusting my compadres here, but I am going to be using my AoE, right, to generate my own shield and tank myself, right? I don't realistically need these guys if I know what I'm doing and if I get into the zone. So you can see I've already got my HP back. HP and shield was above 50%. Nice and clear. So here's a really good way, again, to showcase this Storm Trample and what you're able to do with Sturdy Barrier. So what I'm going to do is attack this guy with my charge, Storm Trample into these 2 abilities, and then spam my 4. So 4 into my 2, and I've already... Now, with my 1, got my Sturdy Barrier. I can press 4, press 4. I've got Sturdy Barrier, press 4, press 4. I can press 2 and 1 and just get it again. You know what I'm saying? This is why it's so good, guys. And you're going to do this every time you are literally playing tank on this role. So if we do it again, just over here. 4, 2, 1. We've got it up. Now press 3. Press 1, press 4, press 3, press 4. You see what I'm saying? Look how quick this is. Like, you're able to generate your shield so fast. Especially when you get those 4 triggers going, right? So you make sure you're bobbing and weaving those 4 triggers when you're able to. And then here you can see me just kind of like popping off and killing that boss. So we definitely do have some bots in this team. I don't think these are real players, I'm going to be honest with you. But this boss here, I wanted to showcase this boss before we finish today's Ultimate Warrior guide. Because this is a boss where slam is going to be needed. And this is kind of why I wanted to showcase, look, you've seen me complete all of that raid so far, right? And I didn't really need to use slam. I could have used slam or used something else in regards to doing this, right? But in this area, slam is really good because you're going to need to obviously stop a certain skill from one of the ads. But here we're showcasing the power now, the power of the warrior. And what we're doing is pressing out of 4, 1, 2, 3, and then we're just spamming 4 again. And we're going to keep spamming 4 until 1 or 2 is back off cooldown, right? And what we want to do, if we just press our 1, remember, if we just press our 1 like now, and I press 4 again, and then it comes off cooldown like it just did, my 1 up at the top corner there had 1 more second of its duration. So again, I'm trying to drill into you guys as I'm playing through this. Even though I am repeating myself over and over again, I'm trying to make sure you understand, for me repeating myself, that's what you got to do. Right, we've got to press 4, we've got 3, we've got 2 online, we're pressing 4, we're pressing 1, and now my 1's off cooldown, and I've got my buff up, and my buff's about to run out, and then I press my 1. Do you understand? See what I'm saying? Like, it's so important to do that, guys. So now what we're going to do is go absolute apeshit mode. We're going to go crazy. We're just going to actually just keep pressing buttons here and maintain some really high toughness and keep our shield hopefully building if we're lucky enough. But number 55, so this is why I wanted to bring this fight into the game. So now we're going to be fighting 2 mobs. One of them's called number 55, one of them's called something else. Here is a good example why you need slam, right? Some people say, why do you need slam? It's for these bosses here. So the AI might beat me to it because AIs are pretty fast. I'm not going to deny them. They're pretty quick at getting the interrupt. But one of these guys are going to be able to cast a skill, and you're going to be able to use your interrupt to do so. So if we keep paying attention, it'll be number 55 that's going to do it. He's going to be able to get piercing, and then you press slam, and the slam basically stops the piercing. So just to showcase why you need to bring sometimes slam compared to other times you don't need to bring slam, right? So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. This has been me now killing these last 2 bosses. I definitely got 2 bots in this game. We've got 2 players dead. Even my healer is dead, but I'm still tanking for it. We don't care. We're able to tank for it because of how OP our cycling is. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this gameplay example. It has gone through basically 2 stages of this dungeon and explained what I'm trying to do, what I'm thinking when I'm grabbing different groups of bosses or ads, right? And I'm trying to get that resistance up by using my 4 to get it off cooldown instantly, then bobbing and weaving the 1 and 2s in there to generate the resources for my 3, and we just keep repeating that cycle. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. It's been me, MrSneakyy, the one and only. The bots here have been very nice. They've been waiting for me. So, we have to thank those guys. And if you enjoyed the Ultimate Warrior Guide here for the War Shield tank, smash a like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next one, stay safe, stay sneaky, and peace out, guys.